Hello and welcome to the GTS POS training. In this video, we will give you simple introduction to the GTS point of sales system so that you can understand what it is, what it does, and how it supports your day-to-day business operations. Before we log in using the system for sales, stock management, reporting, and other daily activities, it is useful to first understand the main part of the platform. This guide uses practical business examples so you can clearly see how the system works in a real working environment. By the end of this video, you should be able to explain the purpose of this particular POS software, identify the main models, and understand the different type of users who work with the system. And so my question is, what is the GTS POS? Now let's begin with a simple explanation. The GTS POS means GTS Open Source Point of Sale System. This is a web-based business management system or a point of sales management system designed to help businesses carry out their daily operations in a more organized and digital way. As a point of sale system is not only used to collect money from customers. In modern business, it helps with stock tracking, customer management, suppliers management, reporting, branch control, expenses, and many other important business tasks. So the GTS POS is designed to support daily business operations in places such as supermarkets, retail shops, wholesale businesses, mini markets, provision shops, among others. This means that the system helps businesses move from manual processes into a more structured and efficient workflow. So how does the business uses the GTS POS in real life? Let us look at a practical example. Imagine you run a shop that sells dish soaps, biscuits, bottled water, and milk. If you are using a manual method, you may write sales in notebooks, estimate stock from memory, or try to remember which customer owns money. This often leads to errors, confusion, and losses. With the GTS POS, the process becomes more organized. For example, first, the business creates an item in the system. Second, the business receives stock from suppliers. Third, the cashier sells the items to the customers. Fourth, the system automatically reduces the stock for you. And lastly, but not the least, management can check reports to see what have been sold, what is in stock, and what is running low, as well as how much revenue have been made. So the GTS POS is not just a selling tool, it's a complete business operation system. Now let's look at the main function of the system. The system currently supports the following key business operations. First is sales. This is where the cashier sells items, process returns, and create quotations, issue invoices, and handle customer payments. The next feature is receivings. This is where stock is added into the business when goods are purchased from suppliers. The next feature is the branch transfers. This allows businesses with more than one branch to move stock from one location to another easily. We also have the item section. This is where products and services are created and managed. We also have the customer and supplier section. These models help the business keep records of buyers and vendors. And also the report side. This helps management understand sales performance, stock movement, debts, expenses, and other business results. We also have the cash up and expenses. These are used for financial control, still balancing, and expenses recordings. And finally, we have the configuration page. This is where all the administrative controls are done. So the administrator uses this system setup, including tax, receipt settings, payment method, location settings, among others, to create and set up the POS for operation. Now let us do a quick walkthrough of the main models. In this part, we are not yet processing transactions. We are only identifying the main models and explaining what each one is used for. Now let's log in into our system. Once the system is open, look at the menu area. Depending on your user permission and how the system is configured, you will see models grouped under areas such as operations, catalog, people, finance, office, etc. Now let us identify some of the major models one by one. Under the operation menu, we can identify the sales model. Now this is where daily customers transactions are done. A cashier will spend most of their time here. The next is receiving, also found under the operational menu. Now under the receivings, now this is used, the receiving is used when the business purchase stock from suppliers and add the items into the business inventory. Also under the catalog, we also have items. Now the item model is where products are created, updated, organized and prepared for sales and stock tracked. Under people, we can find customers. This is where customer details are stored, especially when the business want to track credit sales, discount, contact details, and purchase history. Under the same people, we also have the suppliers section. Now the suppliers model is where suppliers details are managed for purchasing and credit tracking. Under finance, we have the reports. Now this section helps managers and business owners understand what is happening in the business through a detailed and summary reports. And at the office side, we have the configuration model. Now this is mainly for administrators. It controls system settings and determines how the system behaves. So all the settings and all the configurations about how the POS works and behaves or appear is configured under the configuration menu or model. Now let's look at the type of users we have. Everybody uses the system the same way. Different people have different rules. So example, we under the employee side, if I come to permission, you see that we have different permissions that are available, okay, that grant access to different models depending on who and how the business owner want to provide access to the point of sale system. So example, mostly cashiers mainly work on the sales model, and so that can be selected for the cashier. So you see that the sales model is right here. A shopkeeper or a stock officer may also work more in items, that is receiving and transfer, and so that can also be done by providing access to the item side, and then they can be assigned specifically to a specific branch, so they don't have access to all the branches depending on how the business operation works, okay. And then they have the opportunity to also be able to do transfers between branches, and so all these permission can be given, including the receiving, to a storekeeper. Also, a manager may focus on reports, dashboards, cash app and branch monitoring. So all these settings can be assigned to the manager right at this permission side. An administrator might have access to all these models. So mostly administrators are the business owners, okay, so they assign employees, assign permissions to those employees, configure the system, add taxes, payment methods, and the overall system control. So this is why system user permission is very important. Each user only sees and uses the part of the system they are allowed to access, and so it makes it easy for the business owner to control various assets on the point of sale system. And so when we want to discuss it holistically, I can say that a cashier might only work with the sales and customer permissions, whilst storekeepers also can be granted access to the items, receiving and transfer or interbank transfer models, whilst managers have access to reporting, dashboard, cash apps, among other areas. And of course, as I said, the administrator will have a full access, including the configuration and adding of employees, among other features. And so that is how the permission works. So it's the business owner that assigns permissions to various users and how they interact with the point of sale system. And I believe this allows the business owner to control access onto the system. Now, let's now connect this to a rare business example. Assuming a business have the following staff members: one administrator, one cashier, and one manager. The administrator set up the system, creates users, add payment method, and define stock locations. And so when you come to the office and then configuration, what we are saying is that the administrator can set the company name, logo, website details, and all the details that are needed basically to customize the system or brand the system. And then they can add the tax, they can also add the branches, they can add the payment method, and many other settings that are available within the system. And so basically the administrator have the overall configuration of the whole system. So mostly we advise the business owner or somebody appointed and trusted by the business owner to be an administrator of the system. You don't just give the administrative permissions to anybody like that. It's very important. The store receives delivery from suppliers. So the receiving officer enters the stock through the receiving models. Later, a customer comes to the shop to buy goods. The cashier processes the sales through the sales model. And at the end of the day, the manager checks the dashboard and report model to see how much was sold, which items are low in stock, which customer owes money, and what expenses were recorded. So this is how the model works together in rare business environment. Now it's your time to do a simple self-check activity. So in this session, I want you to open the system and identify the major models available in your account. Under this video, you will find the login details for our POS and the link to our demo website. Kindly copy the URL, paste it, and use the login to log in into the system. Now follow these steps. Step 1. Log into the GTS OS POS system using the login provided. Step 2. Once you are inside the system, look at the menu and navigation area. Step 3. Find and write down the names of the models you see. Step 4. From the visible models, identify which one are mainly for daily activities or daily operations, stock control, people's management, finance, and administration. Step 5. Write one short sentence explaining what each visible model is used for. Now let's quickly review what you should have discovered. If your permission allows full access, you may have seen the models such as home, sales, receiving, branch transfer, items, item kits, gift cards, attributes, customer, suppliers, employees, records, reports, cash apps, expenses, messages, and configuration. If your account have fewer permissions, you may also see the models relevant to your role. That is normal. What matters in this guide is that you now understand that each model exists for a specific business purpose. Now, important things to remember. Before we end, there are 3 important things to remember. First, the GTS OS POS is more than a sales screen. It is a complete business management system. Secondly, the models are connected. For example, items created in items can be received in receiving, sold in sales, and analyzed in reports. Third, access depends on user permission. So if you do not see a model, it may not mean that the model does not exist. It may simply mean your account is not allowed to use it. These 3 points are very important because they help you understand how the full system works before you begin practical transactions. Now let's do a quick recap before we go. Here is what you've seen in this video. GTS OS POS is a web-based point of sales and business management system. It supports sales, stock, customer, suppliers, reports, expenses, and administrative models. Different users uses different parts of the system. The system is designed to support real-life business operations in an organized way. In the next guide, you will continue by learning how stock and transaction move through the system from the beginning to the end. See you in the next lesson.